Hey guys, and welcome to my review of Aliens Fireteam Elite, developed by Cold Iron Studios and released on Steam August 23rd, 2021. Fireteam Elite is a 3-player cooperative horde shooter set in the Alien universe that can be played solo with bots or preferably with other players. The game starts off 23 years after the events of Alien 3. You spawn in the bay of a ship not unlike the USS Sulaco from Aliens. This one is called the UAS Endeavour, which is an assault transport ship that carries colonial marines. This ship acts as your hub, where you can test your weapons and perks, purchase and upgrade guns and items, and hand in intel you've collected in the missions. In doing research for this review, I read that the Sulaco is named after a fictional town in Joseph Conrad's novel Nostromo, which is also the name of the ship from the original Alien film. A number of other names in the franchise are based on his works as well. I thought it was cool Ridley Scott was a fan of Conrad's books and wanted to include a few nods to him in the world building of the Alien franchise. The game is broken up into 4 campaigns with 3 missions in each. These take you to a range of different locales. First off, we have the abandoned Katanga refinery, which has you locating and rescuing a Dr. Timothy Honecker. This is a search and rescue job and serves as a good introduction to what to expect from the game. Its campaign is appropriate for beginners as the levels feel familiar in their industrial type setting that is often seen in the other Alien games and films. The second campaign takes place on the lush jungle planet LV-895, which was a classified Weyland-Yutani research station where scientists experimented on wildlife using the biomaterials of xenomorphs before being overrun. This is probably the least dreary of the campaigns, as it features quite a few outdoor sections and your first encounter with combat synthetics. The third campaign has you exploring a different part of LV-895, which includes a deep cave system filled with ancient ruins. These missions have you fighting mutations known as the pathogen, which behave kind of like zombies. At the end of this level, you discover an alien ship destined for Earth and must sabotage its power source before it takes off.
That's a ship.
The final campaign takes you back to the Katanga refinery on a search and destroy mission to eliminate the alien hive. Your team must manually overload the station's fusion power core and destroy the refinery. The final mission in this campaign gives you a brief and scary encounter with the alien queen, in which you must rush to the exit being chased before everything blows. Very similar to the end of Aliens. The level design is fairly varied across these missions, with some outdoor scenes to break up the bleak claustrophobia of being in a spacecraft or cave system. These levels have you fighting your standard Xenos through the majority of the missions, with occasionally getting a break to fight synth military, working Joes and pathogen. I was pleased they decided to include a humanoid-style ranged enemy. This breaks up the monotony of killing melee aliens all the time and forces you to change your tactics and make things feel a bit more varied. So far, there are 6 classes in the game, each with their own unique abilities and playstyles. First off, we have the Gunner, which is exactly what you think. It's all-out rifle firepower. Their special skills consist of a frag grenade that can be upgraded to stun or burst into mini firebombs. Their second skill is called Overdrive, which increases the fire rate and reload speed of you and all your teammates. This is essential for killing big Xenos and is always handy in any firefight. Second off, we have the Demolisher. This class deals with bigger weapons like the franchise favourite Smart Gun and Flamethrower. These guys pack a massive punch. They have 2 explosive abilities that allow you to stagger enemies. This becomes more and more important at higher difficulty levels. They have a Predator-style shoulder-mounted rocket launcher that's good for enemies at range, and a blast wave that is useful for when you're surrounded. Next up, we've got the Tech. These guys are a supporting class with 2 abilities. One is a stun grenade that slows enemies' movement, of which you have 3, that have a fairly quick cooldown. And then we have the Sentry Gun, a fully rotating turret that has unlimited ammo. You can pick it up and put it back down anywhere, and even upgrade it so it shoots fire, which is currently really overpowered. I did a run recently with all 3 of us playing Techs, and the turret chaos was insane. So next up we have the Doc, The Doc is a support class that allows you to place an area of effect healing station that can slow enemies and heal and buff your allies. It's a useful item but has to be used sparingly as it runs out of power quickly. It can only be recharged by picking up medkits. This is a bit frustrating as you have to coordinate with the rest of your team to let you heal them and make sure they don't loot the medkits, effectively stealing your medbay recharge. I'm hoping this class gets a bit of a buff in the future, but we'll see what happens. Second last, we have the Recon class, which is only unlocked once you finish the campaign. These guys are mostly played as snipers and are best sitting at the back dealing damage. They have two useful abilities. One is a small orb that floats around and scans the area for threats and highlights them for all your teammates. The second is a stationary drone that spits out ammo and buffs the team. This is pretty useful for those longer endurance runs where ammunition is scarce. And finally, we have the Phalanx, the 6th class which was introduced in the recent Season 1 update. The Phalanx is a close quarters class whose main skill is a deployable shield to tank incoming damage. Its second skill is a shock pulse ability which acts as a close range area of effect stun. I personally don't like this class as its playstyle doesn't generally gel well with how the game is played from range on higher difficulties. I do expect it will be patched in the future as not many people have been playing it, but we'll see what happens. With the exclusion of the Phalanx, each class feels like it has something meaningful to contribute to the gameplay. Whether it be healing the team with the Doc, stunning enemies with the Demolitionist, or offering scouting information and ammunition with the Recon. None of them feel boring to play, and I think the developers have definitely succeeded in making each class unique and rewarding to choose. Each class starts with a few perk slots unlocked, and as you gain experience with that class, more of the perk zone is freed up for more abilities. There's class-specific perks and general perks that can be applied here. Choosing them wisely and arranging them correctly can change the way a class plays quite a lot. So it's definitely worth taking some time on this perk loadout if you want to max out your damage and general usefulness. The perk loadout can affect not only your skills, but the efficacy of the weapons you choose to use, which can also be heavily customised with attachments, skins and decals. These attachments can also change the way a weapon plays a lot, and adds an additional layer of depth to Fireteam's gameplay. On top of all this, there are items you can buy from the shop's merchant. These range from new guns, attachments for those guns, perks, challenge cards, and usable in-game items like mines and sentry turrets. There's a lot to consider when tackling higher difficulties in Fireteam, and having your items and loadouts sorted is a must for those more serious runs. When you successfully finish a level, you're given merchant credits, attachments and skins, and sometimes perks and challenge cards, making each run feel rewarding. The higher the difficulty, the better the loot. Challenge cards are game modifiers that can be selected before the mission starts. These range from doubling your health, removing medkits from the level, adding extra enemies, and so on. There's even annoying cards that remove your HUD and make the screen completely grayscale. These cards add to the variety and replayability of Fireteam, and can make each match of the game feel a little different in some unusual way. So what's the verdict? I wasn't sure what to expect from Fireteam Elite with a troublesome entry in the franchise that was 2013's Colonial Marines.
Get away from her, you bitch!
But I've been pleasantly surprised a new Horde shooter has finally been done in the Alien universe, and done right. The last time we got a decent Alien game that had a similar multiplayer Horde mode tackling this stuff was Alien vs Predator in 1999, and that's a long time between drinks. I feel that Fireteam has offered an entry in the franchise that has stayed very true to the films in which it's so heavily based on. Its atmosphere and lore are consistent and enticing and in perfect harmony with what fans love about the franchise, particularly James Cameron's Aliens. This was probably the least buggy release of a game I've ever played. The whole experience feels tight, well-coded and well-constructed. Everything from the level design to the weapon sounds, the difficulty scaling and the class diversity. Fireteam Elite hits the nail on the head and gets full marks from me. Well, almost full marks. The one glaring issue is the matchmaking. Having to wait in a 60-second queue for other players before having to return and re-queue again if you don't find anyone is absolutely painful. There's a workaround through joining the official Discord and finding groups that way, but it's just not ideal. Aside from that, I have no other serious complaints. With regular updates from the developers, challenge cards and endless Horde mode, Fireteam Elite has a lot of replayability to offer. Coming in at $55 Australian, the price is totally reasonable for what you're getting. If you're a fan of co-op shooters or the Alien franchise in general, I can't recommend this one enough. As always, thanks for taking the time to watch my review, and a quick shout out to my patrons and everyone who helped me collect gameplay footage. I really appreciate the support. Catch you on the next one, guys.
That's it, man. Game over, man.